Welcome to Entertainment, the channel that promises to entertain you, but it never does. In this video, we are going to see 10 fighters who did crazy antics inside the ring or the octagon and who provided us with great entertainment. Although all of these are sure to enrage the rivals because they make them look like fools in front of all the fans, and they will be forever tied to these moments.
ですね、本当に中尾選手としてみればですね、この K1 ダイナマイトってどんどんいい選手が出てきてますから、ここでいい試合をしてですね、自分の存在価値を改めてですね、アピールしたいところでしょうね。
In this first part, we are going to see fighters who are clowns almost all the time, and that is why they are so recognized. But when they lose, many of the fans are happy because although these situations make us laugh, most of the time we like humility in athletes, something that these fighters do not even know. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and also be sure to turn on those notifications. Please comment below which loss did you kind of enjoy because you didn't like the fighter. For me, it has been Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor. First, we have to start with Deontay Wilder, the former heavyweight champion who in the past has been in the news for saying terrible things. Like when he says that he seriously wants to hurt his opponents. Although I understand that this may be an exaggeration to sell tickets and earn more money, it's not good that you say this in a sport where someone can die. He has done many crazy antics in his career, but the funniest and most entertaining for me was when he fought the Mexican-American Chris Arreola in his defense of this world championship.
Why fight somebody who's cheating, you know? If Wilder says, I insist on this, now he's dancing on Arreola, do a dance, and now fires off an uppercut.
In the fourth round, when Wilder was on the ropes, Arreola started hitting him in the body. Instead of moving, Wilder began to meet his hits with his body and started dancing. The punches did not affect him at all. And when he got tired, he just threw an uppercut at Arreola that hit him cleanly in the face and made him back off. Wilder is a fighter who can be extremely entertaining because of his incredible power. We all know Roy Jones Jr.'s fights and antics because he is one of the best fighters in boxing history, and also one of the best at providing great entertainment. He has one of the best defenses ever seen and also a very unique fighting style. One of the best things he did was put his arms behind his back while dodging the opponent's punches. But in this fight that he had with Glenn Kelly, he did something extraordinary.
Will not carry you there because of the style of the opponent or whatever.
Shane Mosley learned that on Saturday night. Again.
When he put his hands behind his back, and while Kelly relaxed a little bit and lost his concentration, Jones suddenly exploded from his position and threw a perfect right hand that knocked him out and ended the fight. Very few fighters have the speed and confidence to hide their hands behind their back, and even fewer have the power to knock out their opponent in this way. Roy Jones Jr. was a unique boxer, and his fights are greatly missed. Here we have Joe Harding in black fighting against Johan Sega in purple, brown, I don't even know what color that is. But Joe Harding is one of those fighters you just want to see on the ground. He starts with a fake glove touch, and then he dances every chance he gets. Although he doesn't punch very well, for example in this part, he hits him with the back of his fist and then acts as if it was a tremendous hit.
Did I do that?
And finally here, in the third round, he gave us the satisfaction we wanted, because after he threw a punch, he started to dance again. But this time, Johan answered with a very long kick that hit him right in the face, knocking him out completely. Man, Joe is just crazy. It's one thing to dance, and another thing to be so stupid that you take your eyes off your opponent. What an idiot. Billy Joe Saunders is a fighter who was scheduled to fight Canelo in May, and the only reason this didn't happen earlier is because he was suspended for using prohibited stimulants. Billy Joe Saunders is a very good defensive fighter who dodges punches pretty well, and this was never more visible than when he fought David Lemieux of Canada. Lemieux is a fighter with a very strong punch, but Saunders made him look pretty bad in this fight, and everything came to its precipice when Billy Joe Saunders dodged a furious punch from Lemieux, who flew by almost falling on the ropes, while Saunders just made the move as if he was searching for a ball after he had launched it. Lemieux was used to causing trouble to many boxers because of his immense power, but in this fight he must have felt helpless, and more so after Billy did this to him. Saunders is a good boxer, and he's going to give a lot of boxers trouble in the future. Nick Diaz is a fighter in the UFC who has been giving great fights for a long time and a great show for his fans. but he has not fought much in recent times because the rules that exist about marijuana in the UFC, and Diaz loves marijuana and can't stop using it. Or rather, he can't make sense of why he can't use it when he's not fighting. When they gave him the fight against Anderson Silva, it got me excited because these two fighters are great fighters who do a lot of crazy things in the octagon. But I think that nobody expected to see what actually happened. When Diaz wanted to exchange more with Silva, instead of following him around the ring, he threw himself to the ground, leaned against the cage, and invited Silva to throw more punches. But Silva had come a little more professional to this fight after losing to Weidman 2 times, and after returning from his broken leg, when many thought that he would no longer be able to fight. Prince Ahmed was a fighter from Great Britain who had a very unique style of fighting and also gave a great show because he did many crazy things. My God, just look at the way he entered the ring. He did a flip over the ropes. And then he also danced while making his opponents look weak and helpless. The first time I saw him fight was in one of his last fights when he fought against the great Marco Antonio Barrera. Ahmed didn't think much of Barrera and disrespected him before the fight, and at the same time said he didn't think he needed to train as much to defeat him. But when the fight came, he wanted to continue doing crazy things. But Barrera was angry and beat him up pretty good. One of the things he did was to make weird faces at him after hitting him, smiling, and even grabbed him by the neck and dragged him to the ground while the referee blamed Barrera.
Found in Detroit as Barrera is either pulled down by Hamed or pushes him down. Mark Ratner comes up onto the ring apron.
What happened there?
Some of the best moments were when they were clinched and the referee wanted to separate them. Hamed would throw surprise punches at Barrera, but Barrera returned them stronger and harder. And then Hamed wanted to cry to the referee. For me, this was one of the biggest beatings of the favorite fighter I have ever seen. I watched the fight again while making this video. That's how good the fight is. Go watch it. Well, Cody Garbrandt has been given what he deserved in the last 3 fights when he was knocked out twice by TJ Dillashaw and once by Pedro Munoz. Of course, Dillashaw may be controversial because Dillashaw ended up being caught using prohibited substances. But I say they gave him what he deserved because Garbrandt acts like a clown in the ring. And this was never seen more than when he fought against Dominic Cruz. Cruz has a very peculiar way of fighting and many would think that he mocks his opponents, but this is just his style. Garbrandt fought very well in this fight and was giving Cruz a good beating, and he started to act like a clown the entire fight. He laughed at him, waved at him, and even danced like a robot in front of him after he missed a punch. And Garbrandt also hurt him several times, and instead of trying to end the fight, he would laugh at him or dance in front of him. In the end, he won the fight and it was well deserved, but his antics were not necessary. One of the most interesting fighting styles in the world that brings a lot of fun when they do it right is drunken boxing. One of the boxers who did it the most was Emmanuel Augustus, who apart from his style also did other crazy antics. But the best moments were done in his fight against Ray Oliveira, when he used drunken boxing for a long time during the fight. Augustus had a good defense with a very good head movement, and therefore he could afford to fight in this way. He dropped his hands completely and he basically began to dance while throwing punches. This type of antic is not the worst because you still give your opponent the opportunity to hit you. You are not just laughing at him, even if it seems like it to all the fans. Well, what can we say about Mayweather Jr.? He's one of the best boxers in boxing history who knew how to sell his fights very well, creating a great spectacle before the fight, although during the actual fight, it could get pretty boring. Mayweather also liked to do a few crazy things in the rings, like when he talked to many of his opponents after frustrating them with his extraordinary defense. But his biggest and most incredible antic was when during a fight against Henry Brussels, he was paying attention to the commentators during the fight. He was so comfortable in the fight and was winning it so easily to listen to what Jim Lampley was saying and even answered him.
Floyd, do you like the Steelers or the Patriots?
Well, I like the Patriots, but I've been a Steelers fan for a long time.
Floyd tells us, incidentally, I ask you the question, and Floyd looks here and says the Patriots. Floyd Mayweather, answering my question to Roy Jones, picked the Patriots to win tomorrow. Eagles or Falcons, Floyd? He likes Michael Vick.
They were talking about the game between the Patriots and Steelers, wanting to know who they thought was going to win. When Mayweather answered the question saying that he was going with the Patriots. Then he also replied that he was a fan of Michael Vick. What can you do if you're Brussels? You cannot even keep the attention of your opponent in such a dangerous sport. And that's why he lost by a knockout in the 8th round. Adrien Broner wanted to be the heir to Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s legacy after his retirement, but that never happened. He wanted to copy his pre-fight shit-talking, defensive style, and his way of thwarting his opponents in the ring. But a boxer like Mayweather only comes once every 20 years, and Broner was not going to be the next one. In his fight against Marcos Maidana, Broner started his antics very early in the fight because in the first round, when Broner was able to grab Maidana from behind, he started to hump him.
He needs to be active. He has the speed to be active if he chooses to use it, and if he stays confident in doing that, he's going to have to get active.
Oh, wow.
This kind of shit is out of line, and of course Maidana didn't like it at all. So he returned the favor in the 11th round when he did the same to him.
Just Broner, very impressive in the fact that he's been knocked down twice, felt a lot of power, yet he still tries to come.
In the end, Broner ended up losing the fight by unanimous decision, while his daddy Mayweather beat Maidana twice. There are times when these antics can make the fights more entertaining, especially when you give the opponent a chance to hit you. But if you do things to make fun of the opponent, this, at least for me, is pretty shitty. And I am so glad when they finally get knocked out, though I was never given the satisfaction of at least seeing Floyd Mayweather Jr. lose a fight. Thanks for watching this video. See you next time.